Okay, guys, welcome to week 7, chapter 10 on typography. And this lecture is going to be about typography. I'm going to go through this um, kind of outline. It was taken right from the course reading. So be sure to read chapter 10 in the book. It's a really good chapter, very thorough, covers a lot of things. Now, keep in mind, this is an introduction to typography. So I just, again, want to reinforce that typography is a very, very detailed discipline. And it's one that all designers are required to know and be very, very proficient at. And there's a lot of hiring professionals that will go out on a limb and say, you know, if you want to make it in design, you need to know typography. And I think that's very true to a high degree. It's very obvious when we look at design work, and it's pretty obvious who is applying what they've learned about typography and who isn't. I'm not talking about this specific class in general, because everyone's doing great in this class and some of the introductory topics that we have studied. But in general, we can really take a look at the skill level of any designer by looking at the typography in any given project. So the importance of typography cannot be stressed enough. The importance of typography to design just cannot be stressed enough. Okay, so, and as I said, you know, you ask 100 graphic designers what is the most important element of any graphic design project, and you're probably going to get 100 identical answers saying, unequivocally, the answer to that question is typography. Okay, typography is very, very detailed. It takes a long time to learn, and again, I just want to reiterate, this is an introduction to typography. There are entire classes, entire series of classes, entire curriculum, and entire actual programs that revolve around typography. So it's very, very deep, very, very detailed, and it's a very rich discipline, so to speak. So my recommendation to all students is this, and you heard me say this a little bit earlier in some of the materials associated with the typography. My recommendation is this: when I was in design school, I was given a piece of advice by one of my instructors and this was many, many, many years ago. And it was this: it says, well, do this, okay? Just start reading one article on typography a day. And just try to read one article a day for the next week. And I did that. I came back and I said, I read all my articles. And he said, did you think you learned a lot? And he started asking me some questions. And I was ripping off the answers. And he's going, do you see what I mean? Now keep it up. By the end of the class, he was asking me advanced questions, and I was answering them without a problem. The point I'm trying to make is I highly recommend everyone in this class do the same thing. Start reading one article on typography a day, every day, from now until the end of until forever. I still do. This was well over 25 years ago, and I still read one article a day without fail on typography. Would I be considered to be a typography expert? Absolutely. I've written probably close to 100 articles on type, and it all spawned from that little comment, hey, why don't you read one article a day? So again, as I just want to reiterate, here I am 20-some years later, and I'm still reading one article a day every day without fail. So it's really a really good practice. All right, enough of that. Let's get down to business. Okay, typography overview of technical terms. This is something that's really important. Now, you can find a lot of these diagrams online, and the best way to research this is just say, do a web search on the anatomy of type, or typographic anatomy, and it will give you several of these, and you can just go through and really find a lot of these terms. But there is one term here that is not included here that's very important, and that's called a cap line. So we have 4 basic lines associated with typography. Okay, we have a baseline, that's where the type sits. Okay, then we have a descender line, and that's where descenders sit. Descenders are things like this Y that drops below the baseline, this P that drops below the baseline. These are descenders. Where they stop, that's a descender line. You'll notice that all descenders associated with any given typeface do have common descender lines. So they all stop at the same location. Conversely, all of the ascenders, or the parts that stick up above the X height, I'll describe that in a second, also reside or end at the same level, and that's called an ascender line. We have a baseline. So what that covers, descender line, baseline. We have what is called a mean line, or an X height, okay? X height is the height of the lowercase letters. So the height between the baseline and the top of the lowercase letters is called X height. okay? And then the mean line is the line that connects the x height. All right. The only thing that's not included in this diagram that is very, very important to know is what's called a cap line. A cap line is where all of the tops of the capital letters reside. Okay, this example only has one capital letter. That's the cap line. Important to note that the cap line and the ascender line are two different lines. Typically, the ascender line rises above the cap line. And again, take a look at as many diagrams as you can on typographic anatomy, and you'll see many, many examples. Now, all of these this terminology right here, these all have to do with different parts of the letters. Okay, so be sure that you memorize all of these, and also take a look, and as I said, go out there and find more of these diagrams and really get to know the letter forms. Are you expected to memorize these by the end of this class? Absolutely not. However, it is highly recommended that you start working at memorizing your typographic terminology. Very, very important. Overview of technical terms. A typeface is a set of letter forms, okay? And a font means a complete set of type in a typeface, weight, or a size. So there is a difference between a font and a typeface. Know that, guys. Quiz question. Excuse me. Yeah, know that. Also, type styles are modified versions of the original typeface, such as italic, bold, condensed, or extended. So when you hear somebody say, what are the styles associated with that typeface, this is what they're referring to: italic style, bold style, condensed style, extended style, black style, etc. Okay, so those are styles associated with different typefaces. A type family is the whole related group of type styles. So you have a single typeface. All of the styles associated with the single typeface is called the type family. Type is traditionally measured in points. So this is important, guys. Now, this is the measuring system for type, and what this was created to create some consistencies in presentation and measurement of type. Okay. It's important at this point to note that the United States is really the only country in the world that uses inches in graphic design. Everyone else uses points and picas, the entire world. For that reason, I find it very, very important to encourage you to learn picas and points as opposed to inches. It's really easy. 1 inch equals 72 points, okay? 6 picas equals 1 inch. Therefore, it's easy to note that 1 pica equals 12 points, okay? And then 72 points equals 1 inch. So 6 picas, 72 points equals 1 inch. 6 picas equals 1 inch. Therefore, 12 points equals 1 pica, and 72 points equals 1 inch. I know it sounds really terribly confusing right now, but all you need to know is these conversions, and just know that 72 points equals an inch, and then know that there's 6 picas in an inch, meaning that there's 12 points in a pica, okay? The amount of strokes in the letter form of a typeface denote the range of weight, such as light, regular, semi-bold, extra bold, even poster black. And again, by way of summary, these are called what? These are called styles, guys. Okay. Letter spacing. Letter spacing is the space between individual letters and the characters. This space right here, right here, right here, right here. Okay. Now, it's important to note there's another term for letter spacing. It's called kerning, K-E-R-N-I-N-G. There's also another term that's associated with letter spacing, and that's called tracking. The difference between kerning and tracking is that kerning is the space between individual letter forms. So I can go in here, so if somebody says to you, okay, you should go in and increase the kerning between the L and the E in letter spacing, that means the space between L and E. Conversely, we have what is called tracking. Tracking is the space between all letter forms in a word or a sentence. And then we can adjust tracking by going in, and what tracking will do is will equally increase or decrease the space between all letters in the word. So the difference between kerning and tracking is that kerning is referring to the space between 2 letters within a word. Tracking is referring to the letter spacing between all letters in a word or a given sentence. Leading refers to vertical space between lines of type. So leading and kerning are 2 things that will refer to the measurement and the distance between the individual letters and the distance between lines of type, okay? Again, leading refers to the distance between lines of type. Kerning refers to the distance between individual letters. Tracking refers to the space between all letters in a word or sentence. Word spacing is the space between words, so it's this space right here, okay? So when you hear somebody talking about adjusting word spaces, that's what they work. We also have what's called a character count, and that is the number of characters in an individual sentence or paragraph. And that is the character count is well, if you have, let's say you have a character count of 65 on a sentence, on a given paragraph. What does that mean? Or a given line of type. A character count means that that line has 65 characters. Characters mean the letters and punctuation and spaces. Space is a character, guys, believe it or not. So when we count characters, we're counting all the letters, the punctuation, and the spacing. Quite often, you'll hear optimal character count for readability in a paragraph is anywhere between 49 and 69 characters. Overview of technical terms. Let's talk about some more here. So centered alignment, we've talked about this. You guys know this, right? Type alignment, centered alignment, left aligned, justified, right aligned, wrapped. That's also known as word wrap. Okay, that's review. You guys know that. We've talked about that. Typography overview of technical terms. 5 major type categories of type. We have a serif. Serifs are small little feet on the end of any specific typeface. And again, that's in your book, so there's plenty of examples in there. What you're looking at here is a sans serif. Note there's no little feet on the ends of the typeface. This is called a sans serif. Typically, a sans serif is considered to be easier to read online, and the difference between serif and sans serif, in a nutshell, and a very, very wide angle lens here, is the difference between sans serif and serif. So you want to use a serif typeface when you're more of a contemporary or modern feel. You want to use a serif typeface when you want a more of a traditional or a classic feel. Okay, we have what is called a square serif, and square serif is also known as an Egyptian serif or a slab serif, and that is where the serifs are big squares at the end of the letter forms. And again, take a look at the examples in the book for examples of square serif, sans serif, script, and decorative type. Script is exactly what it is. It's a scripted typeface. Be careful with the use of scripted typefaces. You don't ever want to use 2 scripted typefaces in the same composition. Script is a way to indicate an air of elegance or even hand-rendered. But typically we see a great word to use in synonymous meaning with script is elegance. Okay, then we have decorative typefaces. You know, decorative typefaces you really have to be careful with. You only want to use decorative typefaces in very limited capacity. You would not use decorative typefaces to set body copy, for example, because it's just too difficult to read. Okay, guys, that's what I have. So as you can see, it's just basically mostly it's terminology, technical terms. But I want you to memorize this as much as you can. And at this point, we are only required to read chapter 10 in the book, but I highly recommend going through chapter 11 too. Once you get done with chapter 10, you're probably going to want more. Most young designers and design students, when they start, and this is such a wonderful thing, because we're all typography junkies. Okay, most designers are. I can't get enough type. I can't. I love it. I'm really, really involved in typography in terms of typography presentation, consultation for typography, and I do a lot of consulting with other designers. As I said, I would definitely be considered to be a typographic expert, and I do a lot of consultation for other designers where they'll contact me and say, hey, what would technically be the right way to do this? And you can get there too. And guys, like I'm telling you, it's just a matter of reading. And you really, and more so than any other discipline in graphic design, typography requires constant reading. So you don't just learn typography and you're done. It's an evolving quest for expertise. Okay. I think that's about all I have for typography, guys. I do want to reiterate the course announcements, and I'm just going to jump over to the course announcements. Whoops, didn't want to go there. That's going to take me to the assignments page, but I want to go to the course announcements page. And again, I just want to show you these. I want to show you all of these resources. There's some great stuff here, guys. Please read through these. I just want to kind of show you exactly where they're at right here. great set of collection. It's a great collection of typographic resources here. So, and I presume, and this typically happens usually after an introduction to typography, I usually get emails with students saying, wow, this is really cool stuff. How can I continue? Or what do you suggest? And I fully expect to get some emails here because it happens all the time. This is the point, the introduction to typography, where students get hooked on typography. I do fully suspect that there are going to be several students reaching out to me this week saying, wow, this introduction was great, and I think I'm really going to enjoy typography. So that's what we're shooting for, guys. Thank you very much. That will conclude our lecture for Week 10 overview on typography. Any questions, comments, concerns, clarifications on typography, or anything else covered in the class up to this point, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much.